A long time ago, in a galaxy far, far away.
I want to learn the ways of the Force and become a Jedi like my father.
For over 1,000 generations, the Jedi Knights were the guardians of peace before the dark times, before the Empire.
An adventure unlike anything on your planet. An epic of heroes.
You're coming in too fast! Don't worry. She'll hold together. Hear me, baby? Hold together. I got him!
And villains.
Now I am the master.
You can't win, Darth. If you strike me down, I shall become more powerful than you can possibly imagine.
The story of a boy, a girl, and a galaxy.
The Force will be with you, always.
Star Wars, the saga begins.
Welcoming back for another all-star dissect of A Galaxy Far, Far Away. We welcome from Star Wars Reactions, Aaron Harris. Hello, hello. And we got Geoff Arbuckle from Film Seizure.
Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Happy to be here.
And talk show host with the most, Delvin Cox.
What's up, everybody?
Gaming and comic guy who's hacking his own life as well, Oreo Brewer.
Let's talk some Star Trek.
We beamed onto the wrong chat. Oh my word.
I want to talk Farscape. Star Wars is dumb.
Yeah, that's now canon, not canon. Yeah.
Let's just cut straight to Firefly.
Right?
There we go.
The Mandalorian before it was cool.
Yeah.
So we got movie riffers themselves, Mike Ensing and Gil Palmer.
Hello.
All right. I'm your host, Sully, and occasionally we will be having Judge Yoda in the corner. Fucked up, this should be. Oh, whoa. Coming in too strong there, my dude. Okay. Settle down. Head up your ass, have you? No. Look who's talking, Yoda. All right. So, if we can get him to behave, we can probably get through this pretty good. Otherwise, it's going to be 5 hours. But it's all good. I think the force is strong. See, I decided it was finally time to do a giant Star Wars episode. We kind of shied away from it and not really gone too deep into it, surprisingly, as 5 years we've been doing this. But I just figured, hey, how about we just validate everybody? Every side, so to speak, is going to get a take on this. And just let's go deeper into the well. Why do people feel that way instead of just endless, bitch slapping on the internet? Let's just let people rein this in and give it some composure, so to speak. So, Delvin, you're probably the mega Star Wars guy. I'm gonna let you go first. I don't know, man. I know you find a way to find a reference.
I'm a huge Star Wars fan, but I don't have like actual Star Wars in my name or anything like that.
I just mean just narratively speaking. Yeah, I always find you'll find a way to just make a reference to it. So.
Oh yeah, I'm a huge Star Wars fan. I love all the movies, the animated series, just the long history of Star Wars. I was actually a part of a Star Wars audio drama.
Yes, you were. Very fun fan made.
Yeah, very fun, awesome fan made audio drama that
called Legacy. If you guys want to look it up,
definitely check that out. Legacy of Star Wars audio drama is produced by Crystal Storm. It's a very, very good Star Wars audio drama that's set in the Old Republic days, if I remember correctly.
I like it.
Yep, I believe so. Yeah.
So, and it's told from the perspective of the Sith.
Yeah.
Bitchin'.
And there's some sex in it, so that's even better.
Oh yeah, it's a lot.
I just spit my drink.
It's a little bit more mature of a Star Wars story. It's not like gratuitous sex, but it's like,
right. But it was edgy. It was cool.
You'd like my fanfic then.
It's definitely something you want to check out. But what do you want to start with? Because there's so many avenues of Star Wars you can kind of really touch. TV shows, you have the movies.
Yeah, I'm going to let you rank on a 5-star scale. Like, what are your 5 stars? What are your 4.5s? What are your 3 stars? What are your 2 stars?
Well, you know what I'll do? I'll do it this way because I don't want to be negative about anything Star Wars today. Right. I will give my top 5 favorite Star Wars things.
Oh,
just in general. I think that'll be a really cool way to start this off.
Shortcut. Okay.
That'll get it done faster.
Breaking the rules, like always. I love it.
Instead of like, kind of like, because, there's so much Star Wars media out there. I think it'll be really cool just to give your 5 favorite Star Wars things.
That'll work.
So in no particular order, my number 5 is The Mandalorian.
Okay. Cool.
I love that they kind of took the formula because all Star Wars fans always wanted like a Boba Fett TV series or something like that. Then we got it was like, maybe we didn't want that. But at the same time, I think that The Mandalorian kind of, unfortunately for Boba Fett, kind of filled that spot that we wanted. And they gave us this, for those Star Wars fans who wanted something new, Mandalorian Season 1 and Season 2 was that. It was in the same universe, but it didn't really have nothing to do with Luke Skywalker or the Jedi Council, all that stuff. It was just about this guy, this lone gunslinger who had a job to do, and he kind of found this child and was kind of like a father figure to this child. I think that was a really cool, fantastical story that we kind of need more in Star Wars. Mandalorian, to me at least, is what I wanted from Solo. I wanted Solo to have those type of stories. I always thought that Solo would have worked better as a series as opposed to a movie.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's so much lore with Han Solo in general. I think you can, and Lando for that matter, I think you can tell so many different stories and kind of like expand on that universe. And I just love the whole atmosphere of Mandalorian. I think it's a really great series. And the cool thing about Mandalorian is, if you're not a Star Wars fan, you can come in and get it just like that. There are people I know who don't like Star Wars, who like it's dumb, it's for the nerds and stuff like that, who watch Mandalorian like, this is fantastic. I love Baby Yoda. Buy me all the Baby Yoda merch and stuff like that. So I think Mando is just one of those shows just amazing. So props to Mando. So want me to keep going, or y'all want to go around?
Approve this, I shall. Yes.
I'll keep going then.
Yeah, your top 5. So you're on to number 4.
My number 4. Now this was difficult. I was thinking either Star Wars Rebels or Star Wars. I'm gonna go Clone Wars. I'm going to Clone Wars animated series specifically because for those who are young enough or old enough for that matter to remember, the prequels wasn't initially. The prequels are kind of interesting because the prequels came out, and I feel like when people saw them in theaters, they liked them, and then they thought about it and didn't like them.
I enjoyed Attack of the Clones in theaters. That was a great experience.
Yeah, I agree. And now we're at this point, because of the Clone Wars series, a lot of people have grown a greater appreciation for the prequels. Mm-hmm. And I think that has a big part to do with it. I think the Clone Wars series is how people would want a Star Wars series to go. Mm-hmm. It tells this kind of cool, interconnected story about, it gives you the full arc of Anakin to Vader. And I love that they kind of show you the early stages of him kind of being kind of a leader. Yeah. And then if you watch the show to the end, which was one of my favorite moments in Star Wars history, the fact that you get to the point where you see Order 66 in the show, and they show you a whole different perspective of it, and you start realizing the people who loved him from the show are starting to realize, oh, shoot, he might have something to do with this. And I think that was like a really emotional moment with Ahsoka, and as you watched her grow from this Padawan to this kind of like awesome, badass Jedi. And then you get to that moment, you're like, oh, Ahsoka's like really a force to be reckoned with. And I think the cool thing about the Clone Wars series is, which I don't think happens a lot in media in general, because usually us nerds, we get our characters, we like them, and we don't kind of deviate from the characters that we love. Like, many medias, like, they've been trying to replace Batman, Bruce Wayne as Batman forever. And he just keeps becoming back Batman. And I think it's really cool that Star Wars was able to add a character like Ahsoka Tano, and people were cool with it. Like, yeah, she's kind of awesome, and kind of build on that. Same thing with Mando. Like, I love the fact that show was able to build a whole universe based off of what they got from the prequels, and I think that's a really dope thing that I really appreciate personally.
Lovely.
All right, let me go to my number 3. It's going to be a little controversial, but stick with me. I'm going to go episode 7. And this is why I'm going episode 7. Take 8 and 9 out of the equation. The hype behind episode 7 was so amazing. And one of the most memorable moments I have in my life right now as a Star Wars fan is going into the theater to watch episode 7 and getting the long lines that we had there and people cheering everything that was going on. Now, because I was an 80s kid, so I didn't really get to see any of the Star Wars movies except Return of the Jedi in theaters, when I was like the original trilogy. Return of the Jedi in the theaters when I was like 6. So going and taking my kids to see episode 7 was kind of huge, and them kind of liking Finn and Rey and Poe and wanting to see where their story went with that and the whole thing. And I remember, like, there's certain moments when you go to a theater that you will always remember. And I think I always say, like, when I went to go see Infinity War, I remember when Thanos won and how people were shocked when everybody was like dropping and the snap happened. They just seen all their favorite heroes just die and go away. And people were like legit shocked. You heard people gasping in the theater. You heard people crying. I had that same experience in episode 7 where, spoilers, Han Solo dies. Like, there were like people were like in shock because people just didn't even know. He'd been saying for years, kill me off. Stop bringing me back. He's been saying it for years. Just kill my character off. But the moment when it happened on screen, people were like in legit shock and quiet. In a theater that was hyped the whole time, to get that type of quiet is not something that always happens in theaters. And I really appreciate what episode 7 did in terms of bringing a whole new generation of Star Wars fans into the world. And I think that was a really cool thing. Like I said, take out episode 8 and 9, whatever you want to say about either one of those movies, because those are the ones that are a little more controversial. But episode 7 alone was really cool and brought a whole new generation of Star Wars fans into the business. I really appreciate that.
That's nice. All right. So 2 and 1.
2 and 1.
Then I'll introduce Hans.
Hey. You hear me?
Yes. Nice to meet you.
Yes,
action movie
sorry.
and comic book movie book club. Welcome aboard.
Hey, thanks for having me. Yeah, right when I started to get on, it just crashed, and then it takes forever to start back up.
The force is strong with his computer.
Yeah, it just didn't want me. I guess maybe my rankings are a little out there. It didn't want me that well.
It's all good. All good.
So, my number 2, I will go with the prequel trilogy. And I say the prequel trilogy because I feel like it's kind of parallel to how people feel about 7, 8, 9. The prequel trilogy kind of laid out the foundation for what the future of Star Wars is, and I think it was really interesting to see, at least to me at least, a Star Wars movie made with technology behind it. Because, the original trilogy was made kind of like, it was a little low budget, but we got it and we loved it for what it was. And seeing the prequel trilogy and the ships all shiny looking new and kind of like all the special effects and things. And there are moments, like whether you like the movies or not, there are moments in the prequel trilogies to me that are amazing. Like the fight with General Grievous, I love. I love the fight, the big old battle on Attack of the Clone. You see all the Jedi fighting together. I'm like, this is pretty cool. There are moments in the prequel trilogy that I think that are really cool that people wanted to see for a long time. And I know people who have problems with like emo Anakin and stuff like that. And
Emo, yes. Emo, he was.
But
no, how did you?
I think overall, I love how they are now kind of retconning that stuff in a way that kind of makes it work. Like, it feels like the things that are happening now are kind of making up for the sins of the past. Like, even the guy who played Jar Jar got to come back and be a badass in another series. And like, that's pretty cool.
They're doing it with Marvel and Star Trek, to be fair, too. It's just what didn't work, what was a good idea on paper, but not well executed. Let's just make better sense.
which I appreciate. I love that we're at a point where we can do that. And I think that now that we can able to have the resource to do that, it kind of makes the prequel trilogy feel a lot better than it did back then. Like, the things that we didn't have context for, we have context for now. And I love that we have that. Like, the whole thing with General Grievous and Darth Maul. That's the perfect example of it. Darth Maul was a badass that everybody loved, that for the longest time people were like, damn, they killed him off in the first one, really? And then you kind of like get to the Clone Wars. Then you get to the Clone Wars TV series and you're like, oh, he's alive. And then you see a whole story arc with Darth Maul. And like, this is kind of awesome. This is kind of badass. And I appreciate that. We would have never got that if we wouldn't have got episode 1. And these badass characters. I think that's kind of like, I feel like that is, if that prequel trilogy's George Lucas's kind of last swan song with Star Wars, it's fine. I think that's because that was the vision he had for it. And while we didn't all love it at the time, I think as time goes on, I appreciate it a lot more than I did back then.
Lovely ranking that was.
All right.
Number one.
My number one is, of course, the original trilogy. It's kind of hard for me to rank these movies because I love them in so many different ways. I see, like, the third one, of course, Return of the Jedi was the first one I actually saw in theaters. So that one holds a special place in my heart. Then you have Star Wars, the original one that started everything that I just really love. And then you have Empire Strikes Back, where it's one of the few movies that I saw as a kid that was a bad guy won. The bad guys legit won. And I thought that was like a really cool ending to a film. And I'm like, ugh. And even though when it came out, because like I said, I didn't see that one first. I saw that one second, I think. Yeah, I saw that one second. So I didn't have to wait to see the resolution of it. But I imagine that a lot of people who saw Empire Strikes Back, that was like a pivotal moment in their life. Like, oh, the good guys didn't win? This is how we're ending? the bad guys won, and that's the dude got his hand cut off and credits? Like, that's kind of a unique thing for a movie to do, even like back then. And I kind of really appreciate that Star Wars took a lot of chances with special effects, with practical effects, with everything is done, with bringing these unique characters like R2-D2, C-3PO, everything that it had, because they had so much stuff into it, so many things that you can't even name. Then you have Han, Luke, Leia, and giving us this kind of own world that pretty much never been done before. Even if you look at things like Flash Gordon and Buck Rogers, they're great, and I love those things too, but it's not on the level like what Star Wars was. And I think, and to people's crowd, I think the only thing that's come close to it really at that time was probably Star Trek. And even Star Trek was vastly different because Star Trek was kind of like this, it was it was like the smart man's Star Wars. It was
the space cop.
It was more like, it was kind of like the space procedural. Where Star Wars was like the action movie. It was like, oh, this is kind of like a really cool thing. And I just kind of appreciate that.
Master Yoda, did Delvin pass the Jedi exam? Yes, he has. Hot takes there were. Yeah. Lovely he was. Okay.
To close it off, I would say I appreciate that after all these years, we still have Star Wars, and we still have a whole generation of people that still love it to this day.
Amen.
As shown by this rule.
Yep. Lovely. Okay. I feel like I'm getting some force tingling from Aaron's direction. How about we let him pitch in?
Man, Devin hit it right on. There's so much I gotta say, Delvin. I loved what you said about episode 7 because the hype around that movie was absolutely perfect. And I'm actually sitting here reworking my list because I didn't know we could, use the whole trilogy as one option.
I mean, however you want to rank them, just give it a 5-star.
Yeah, how
just...
granular do you want this?
Yeah, exactly. For me, I'm actually going to mirror what Delvin did with the top 5 because you don't want me talking about all of Star Wars. We'll be here all night. I got another show to do after this. So, yes. So we for me, number 5, starting from 5, is all of the Thrawn books. And going back to the original ones that Timothy Zahn wrote, the original ones, Heir of the Empire, and those, to the new ones he wrote, the Thrawn, Treason, Legions, and of course the Ascendancy trilogy. Those books there's just so much story in those books and so much depth and character building in those books, especially around a character that I fell in love with when he originally created it back at the original Heir of the Empire, Thrawn, yeah. And
Roger Barner did
original. So, but I love the Thrawn books. They're just fabulous stories, and it gives you a glimpse especially when you get into the Ascendancy trilogy, into another part of the galaxy, another life outside the Empire, which is awesome too, through the eyes of a different race, which I found quite enjoyable. For me, 4 would be The Mandalorian, the first step into that live action TV, because we all know that the Christmas holiday special doesn't count. But the Mandalorian, and I say that without even seeing it. I have not seen the holiday special.
What do you think of it, Master Yoda? Get high on your own supplies, you should.
But Mando was just awesome. You heard it. Mando was just simply awesome. We had the exploration of brand new characters. It was something that everybody, whether you like Star Wars or whether you're not a fan, could get into. It brought in new characters, and my Lord, with all of the Baby Yoda Grogu stuff that just started flying everywhere, it was just, you couldn't go anywhere or do anything without rounding a corner. Oh, look, it's a Baby Yoda spatula. Oh, look, Baby Yoda bananas. I mean, it created a hype unmatched, and it was worth it. I mean, the stories were awesome. The characters were great. And I am still mad I'm waiting this long for season 4.
You'll love this. I was shopping a year ago, and someone who clearly had never seen a Star Wars movie in her life was like, "Why are you getting that baby toy? It's ugly." I'm like, "Okay."
That motherfucker is ugly, though.
Well, okay, but I'm just like, I'm just getting a toy. I didn't question her. I'm not here to cause trouble with it. I just try to. I was pretty much trying to not guffaw on the spot because I just never heard a reaction. Is that baby? She ugly.
Said, your baby's ugly, lady.
Oh.
I've seen what your ovaries can produce. Get the fuck in your lanes.
Oh my god. All right, I apologize. Oh.
No. All right. So, but yeah, Mando is great, and it still is, and it brought back characters, made connections, and they did really good at writing in connections to the other parts of the saga, connecting it to the original trilogy, connecting it to the sequels in their own right. which those are another story I don't even want to get into. But fabulous storytelling in Mando, which leads me to my number 3, which is all a part of that Mandoverse. To me, is Ahsoka. I absolutely adored the Ahsoka series, mainly because of how it connects to my number 1. But Ahsoka was just simply incredible. I never thought, and what's crazy is I never thought that I could walk away from a series and just be so enamored with a character the way I was with Balin Skull. He was just such a complex character, and oh my gosh, Ray Stevens played him so well, and it just there was just an air of I want to almost say royalty and regalness, and he carried himself like Dooku, but was wise like Qui-Gon. I mean, it was really
Gravitas.
strange. Yes, gravitas. Oh man, thank you for that. He was just such a powerful character, and and I loved the series. I loved seeing all the Rebels connections. I loved seeing Ahsoka, but and of course seeing live action Thrawn for the first time. But Balin Skull and a connection, of course, his apprentice Shin Hati. Those characters, but especially Balin, just was really strong character, and it breaks my heart. We're not going to see Ray Stevenson play this guy again.
Yes, rest in peace,
it
Punisher.
was. Oh, absolutely. It was such a powerful role, and definitely something I will always go back to. For me, number 2, Revenge of the Sith. That was just a powerful
moment to shine
movie.
it was for me. Quiet down, Yoda.
Yeah.
Stop it. Let him finish his ranking. Right.
Yeah, but Palpatine got the best of you in that one. No offense, but it was it was such a
quiet down, Yoda. Quiet. Yeah.
Revenge of the Sith was just such an awesome movie. It was a great way to tie up the prequels. To me, it had some of the best soundtrack to come out of the prequels, period, outside of Duel of the Fates from Phantom Menace.
Fun fact, but very dark year for John Williams. He scores Munich, which also is a score that makes one cry. Yeah. You're like, Jesus, that was the year of tragedies for this man. Scoring movies.
Yeah, I mean, he has scored so many movies that will make you tear up. It's ridiculous. But he's just a credit to his profession, man. But Revenge of the Sith, I loved the complexity of how it ended. I loved how that massive fight between Anakin and who was then Vader and Obi-Wan, and it's just so, especially Obi-Wan's speech right there at the end, when he's just opening up and pouring out on Anakin right there at the end, and all Anakin could do is look at him and say he hates him, and Obi-Wan is sitting there pouring out his heart. I mean, it is really a gut check moment in the saga, and it to me was a one of those ways that at that point what the future holds, but it was still a gut check moment. For me, number 1, and if you've ever heard me talk or ever listened to my show, this is not going to come to a surprise. But for me, number 1 is Star Wars Rebels. I absolutely love that show. From the very first moment, the very first episode premiered when they did the sneak peek on ABC before it aired on Disney, and you saw those before the city of Lothal pops up, and you hear the TIE fighters come soaring in. My mind just went, this took me right back to the original trilogy, and I just was like, this is Star Wars. And I soaked up every bit of Rebels I could get. The characters I loved. Chopper's by far my favorite droid. I got a life-size one standing in the corner behind me.
Better jet boots too.
I just yeah. And and I love everything about the series. I love the storytelling, especially there toward the end when you start getting into the Empire squashing everything and trying to squash the rebels, and then of course the tragedy that ensues throughout the series with eventually the loss of Kanan Jarrus. First the blinding, then the death of Kanan, and just that journey for him through the series. It's the journey in that series is so Star Wars. I mean, you have that because Kanan is almost on a journey of redemption himself, while Ezra is trying to find who he is, while Hera is just trying to free the galaxy.
Damn ship.
Yeah, it's a great ship too. It's a great ship. But
Did
Rebels
Aaron pass the Jedi exam, Master Yoda?
Much promise, yes. Much.
All right. Can't argue with that, man. Is everyone going to get a passing grade on the exam?
Hello?
Nice to meet you, Jamie Marino.
That was an interesting way for me to get in there.
Yep. Welcoming from the Morbidly Beautiful Podcast Network. Welcome.
Yes, thank you. Hello.
Don't get your moment in the sun?
Sure.
Will Jamie pass Master Yoda?
I hope so.
Depends much.
I was about to geek out on John Williams. I'm a crazy John Williams fan, to the point where there's a part of the score in Dial of Destiny that is on the soundtrack to Last Crusade, but not in the Last Crusade movie.
Interesting. I didn't realize that.
Tank battle in Last Crusade. There's the soundtrack you hear during the movie. On the soundtrack, the tape, well, CD now, it's a totally different track, and it sounds like it's reversed. Like the track you're hearing during the movie is reversed, and that's what's put on the soundtrack, or vice versa. And in Dial of Destiny, the same track is heard again, but it's the reverse one in the movie. Not, I'm sorry. See what I mean? Geek out.
Geek out. Your corner, you shall have.
Ah, okay.
All right. Hey, Yoda, you're not going to shame us into our parents' basement, will you? Fuck up? You will. Okay. That's very encouraging words. All right. So this puppet is not taking kindly to us, but it's all good. I think he has positive things to say about Geoff's ranking. So we're going to let you go. Whatever you want to share.
Yeah, I kind of think I'm gonna kind of do some kind of side stuff. Because one of the things that I like to say about myself is that while I'm very sentimental about certain things, and certainly Star Wars, I mean, I was born 3.5 months before the first one came out. So it's like, it's always been there.
An old man like me.
Yeah. So like, and Delvin, I certainly appreciate what it was like going to see Return of the Jedi. We'll put a bookmark on that because I am going to come back around to that. That's going to be part of what I'm going to say here. While like Star Wars has always been there for me, it's like I'll always say that it's like really what I kind of did a lot more of when I was growing up was watching Star Trek and Doctor Who. But that was because and that's because those are like the real sci-fi type stuff where I always look at Star Wars as like fantasy. But there's
the trifecta.
Yeah, and there's all the other stuff around Star Wars that seem to kind of trigger like the feel good bits in my brain that do more than just the movies themselves. So I guess the first thing I'll talk about is back when I was a kid. There used to be this documentary, and it's actually on YouTube. You can watch it now. That was like a making of Star Wars. C-3PO and R2-D2 hosted. And it was like this weird kind of combination of like, it was meta, but it was also like they were talking about like the production of them, like as if their life story was being told. And it's kind of silly. It's very late 70s in that regard. There's just a lot of things because they talked about like where the ideas of the movies came from, and they showed those original like concept art that looks like the stormtroopers are wearing more like oxygen, like almost like they're wearing diver suits more than they were wearing armor, and like everybody has a lightsaber, and Han Solo was a weirdo alien and stuff like that. It showed more than I think what most people realize we got back then, pre-internet, before every movie was talked about like to death. It also talked a little bit about like some of the merchandising. And it was the first time I ever heard the Star Wars theme in disco. Sorry that I ever did. But
was that after the Bill Murray parody?
I don't know.
They released a whole album of disco songs.
Yes, they did.
Oh God, it was it was something else seeing, like people in like their teens and early 20s like disco dancing with Star Wars shirts. It was weird, but it was just, it's one of those things. It's like just a couple of years ago, actually, I watched that again, and it's like, wow, I remember every minute of this. I remember every detail of like the little space that like R2D2 and C3PO were kind of watching, or kind of like hosting this from. And it's just, it's really cool because it's like, it was really the kind of the first thing that I remember like learning about like the stuff that goes on to make a movie. And all of that stuff is so sanitized now, because like, no company wants to like talk about like the struggles of making that movie. And so just to kind of hear like, that yes, indeed, George Lucas is kind of not a great actor's director. Like he's got so much stuff going on that he can't really like communicate with actors. You could kind of see that a little bit. So it's kind of cool, and it's something that I always like it's like one of my earliest memories of thinking about that sort of stuff. The second thing, going back to like the lead up to episode 1, I worked at a video store right after high school in 95.
I saw you on CNN camping outside of a theater. I knew it. I knew it.
Actually, no, I actually had friends who were camping out, and me and another buddy just gave them some money, and it's like, yeah, we're going to go to the comic shop. See you later. We weren't going to wait in like summertime heat, which I guess technically like mid-May wasn't super hot, but I wasn't going to camp outside. The lead up to that, the trailer, the excitement of it all coming back, and we were all kind of tipped off to that. Because like I said, I worked at a video store right after high school, and starting in 95. Around that time, they released the THX remastered VHS and Laserdisc of the last time they were ever going to put like the original trilogy before the special editions. They all came out in that time. And each one of those tapes had a piece of an interview. I can't remember what the journalist was that did the interview, but it was with George Lucas. And he was talking about writing new Star Wars movies. And we were told right there, anybody who stayed through them, watched through the credits and got to those interviews, we were told that new Star Wars was coming. And then we got the special editions, which are hit and miss, but you could kind of feel like things were ramping up to that. And once all of the marketing machine started pushing out like the episode 1 stuff, the trailer, it looked like a Star Wars movie. I mean, here you have Tatooine, you have a lot more. I mean, aside from the droids and stuff like that, like a lot of like practical effects that I kind of felt were sorely missing in the other 2 prequel movies. It was just exciting. My favorite memory of all that was when they were going to release the toys, and me and a bunch of friends went to like a midnight opening of Toys R Us, and they just had stacks of these Star Wars figures, like in like a bucket basically. And then they had these stacks of like vehicles and everything, and like all of that, it was old but it was new at the same time. And it was so exciting knowing, it's like, oh my god, who is this character, what is this character, what's going on here? and then they had those little stands that had like little chips that could like say lines from the movie, and all of it was just awesome. And then it got out like all those Pepsi cans that had different characters on them. Like I collected all of those. Yeah, I collected all of those. I mean, it was just an awesome time, and it felt like I don't know if I've ever been as big of a Star Wars fan as I was in those 6 months, those first 6 months of 1999. And it was just an awesome time to be a fan of those movies, and to know that they were coming back and there was going to be something new and we can live beyond the 3 that we had. And to kind of tie to that, my third thing is there was a Dark Horse comic series that started right around the time that episode 1 came out. And it was 6-part arcs, and each arc for a little while had a different lead character. And so the first one was what's his name? Kaya D. Mundy, the guy with the big cone head.
Yes.
Yeah.
I call him Mr. Butthead, but
okay.
Go ahead.
Yeah. He was
Silence, Sully. Speak of him, you shall not. Okay.
He was the lead of that first arc, and in that it talked about like a former apprentice of his that became like a who joined up with the Sand People, and then he had a son that he was kind of teaching the Force to.
That's a good story. Yeah,
it really is.
Order 66 or something.
Yeah,
yes, I think I do recall that.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, and so that whole thing, like, it opened up like all of this kind of mythos about like all of these different, because all of our lives before that, all we knew were Darth Vader or Anakin Skywalker becoming Darth Vader. We knew of Luke, we knew of Yoda, we knew of Obi-Wan. We didn't know any of these other characters. I have a lot to say about how they did the mythology of how like Jedi are not supposed to be, having relationships and stuff like that. There's a lot to say about that, but it's
Yada was actually married.
Yeah. So like, yeah. And then like his whole thing was, I think he had 2 brains. So he had like extra Force powers of some sort.
Yeah. And his people had like a problem with having male children. So like they had a population issue. So that's why he was allowed to have, he had like a bunch of wives. Like it's actually kind of a messed up.
So he was a Mormon. Got it.
Right. Yeah. He was space Mormon. Yeah. So it's like that whole series, because then it later got into like these other characters, and then I can't think, what's the guy's name with the yellow stripe on his nose?
Not Watto. You're thinking
he had like dreadlocks
in the originals or the prequels, or
he was based off of like Billy from Predator.
Yeah,
his name escaping me.
Quinlan Voss.
Quinlan Voss. Yeah, and then Ayla Secura
that sounds like a rock star.
Yeah. Because
that guy. Okay, the Navajo.
Him adventurous, and they had a great story too.
Yeah, because his Padawan was Ayla Secura, and so of course she came through in the we saw her die in Order 66.
She had one of the most brutal deaths.
Yeah, she did. Yeah, they just like, hey, you got her.
Her,
Yeah, it's like you got her, and then they just kept shooting her.
Yeah. They did. They just unloaded on her at her kitty in the boardroom.
Right. So then they so it's like that whole series, and then around that same time they had like Star Wars Tales that had that really funny story about the red droid that Luke that like
Skippy the Force sensitive droid.
That's Skippy. Yeah, Skippy the Force sensitive droid, sacrificing himself because he knew that R2 had to go with Luke, and it's like all of that stuff. Yeah, it's like all of that stuff it was just fantastic, and I just could not get enough of that, and right up until like it reverted back to Marvel, all of those I kept reading all of the series the Dark Horse did, because they were very well and tightly, kind of connected and written, and it was great. Then so I guess number 2 now, I guess.
Sure.
Kind of similar and that is like the hype of
Oh wait, it's coming through the headphones already. Yeah.
The hype of for me as a 6-year-old, Return of the Jedi, and all of the stuff that kind of, again, the merchandising of that. To this day, behind me, right there, that's the Return of the Jedi shelf that I had like a whole bunch of Return of the Jedi furniture in my bedroom. And the back of each shelf is an art picture of particular scenes, like Jabba's barge, Endor, and the speeder bikes. So like, but my favorite thing of all of that stuff, even more so than the 3-part Marvel comic adaptation of it, was the Pepperidge Farms cookies that came out with those. They had a bag of vanilla, a bag of chocolate, and a bag of peanut butter cookies.
That sounds about right.
Yeah, the vanilla were like Luke and like a bunch of good guys. The peanut butter were like Han and Chewie, and like the things that are kind of like Jabba, like the people like kind of in between. And then the chocolate ones were all the Empire guys.
I remember this.
Yeah.
We're all geeking out. Oh my god.
Yeah, those were so freaking good.
They were.
And like, I do not know why those are so like embedded in my memory. I think it's because I used to like oftentimes stay at my dad's because my mom would work nights. And I think for some reason he kept buying them because dad's one of those people who's like, oh, you like Star Wars.
Anyway, he can introduce you to it.
Well, no, it's like, no, it was one of those things where it's like, oh, you like Star Wars, you like cookies, you must like Star Wars cookies. And he's right. But like that, he didn't like, it was just him picking up what he knew I liked. So, and it's like, it just so happens that he picked the best cookies that were ever made and ever packaged and ever to have stamped on them like faces of Star Wars characters. There was so much about like Return of the Jedi. I mean, being 6 years old, I was fully in, man. I had shirts, I had figures, I had the furniture, I had, all of this stuff that was just like, it was all directed right at me as a 6-year-old. And it's why I understand, like, I have a friend who's like 12 to 15 years, I can't remember exactly how old he is, younger than me, that the prequels are his movies. I get it, because the original trilogy was going on when I was a kid. If that was going on when he was a kid, or like one of my buddy's kids like the sequels the most, that makes perfect sense because those are that's the era in which they were raised during.
What era of G.I. Joe or Transformers did you grow up on?
Exactly. It's like, yeah, it's always going to be G1 for me, but like, for at least as far as like that sort of stuff. But number one for me, I mean, I think this is going to be kind of common for a lot of people, but it's The Empire Strikes Back. Everything about Empire Strikes Back is Star Wars to me. I love the design of that movie. I love how everything, like the color palettes of each of the places that they go to, like Hoth is like entirely white and all that snow, but yet it still looks lived in because they have to chisel their base out of like a tundra, basically. Cloud City, all of that like orange sky, and then the look of the inside of Bespin. Well, Cloud City, the inside of the actual, I always get confused.
We're nerding out, Eric.
Yeah. And then of course,
Wayland Yutuni, Geoff.
Okay.
Oh, my bad. Different alien planet. All right.
but the Dagobah, where it's like everything there is grimy and gross, and that's where Yoda has hidden out. And just as a kid, how can you not like Yoda? Like you gotta, I mean, like. Like it's just his silliness at the beginning, and then that turn where it's like you realize like, oh, this guy is like a super badass. That's awesome.
That's for me, this is.
But but it's just everything about, I mean, like it is the most perfect continuation of characters that were established in a so it's like a sequel, but it's not really a sequel because it's continuing the characters, it's continuing the saga. It is about as perfect of a way to continue those characters, realistic and realized state. And that's, I mean, how can you go wrong with Empire Strikes Back?
You never know. Badass. Okay, so first off, I'm gonna make my manners welcoming. Speaking of Predator, we got Aaron and Cliff from the Predator Minute podcast.
Well, can you hear me?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, great, because I can't hear me.
What's wrong with the mic, your forces?
Yeah, all right. Yeah, you just have Aaron right now.
We're Clifford's
make sure
meditating.
right.
He'll be back from the Jedi
Can
Temple.
You hear this? Can you hear this?
Yeah, there you go.
Okay,
the puppet
great.
standing in for Cliff. Yes, I can hear that.
Yeah.
So we're gonna keep the train, gravy train rolling. I'll tell you what. I'll get my ranking the fuck out of the way. Is that okay with you, Yoda?
Yeah,
I'm sure I am. Okay, that's as good a seal of approval as I'm gonna get. Can't agree with you guys more. And this has been a pretty civilized conversation. I love how we've all kind of just taken into, hey, there's no point in bickering out over a toy commercial that still means so much more than the average bear. So I'm going to go with a classic, a 5 out of 5 stars. I'm going to rank Empire Strikes Back, Revenge of the Sith, and The Mandalorian. These are space westerns. These are perfect ensembles for everybody. The grittiness actually is magnetic in a way. I don't have any issue with them other than the scruffy looking Nerf herder line, but this is me. 4.5 out of 5 I'm going to give to the original film. I love the Guns of Navarone type cinematography, the Foley editing, and Rick Baker makeup. It's hard to believe that it was a shitstorm on set, but that just goes to show you the magic of movie making. Also going to give credit to the Book of Boba Fett. I realized that many found it anticlimactic. For me, I just loved how it was kind of a underbelly of the various soldiers and merc lifestyle that I had always kind of pictured seeing in the books. And then I'm going to give a 4 out of 5 to the original expanded universe books, including Heir to the Empire, the comics, and most of the video games, Rogue One, the Kenobi show, and the Clone Wars 2000 free cartoon by Jenny Tartowski. I just love, again, the art direction. People are building on Lucas's vision. It's kind of like with people, like we talked about with Star Trek. People go, oh, it's not Roddenberry. I'm like, it doesn't need permission to be what it is. You know, it's just, if you actually get detailed into this, these are page turners. Now, personally, I think I just dug the Kenobi show because it was kind of an excuse for Ian McGregor to go all Taken. But I also just kind of dug how they built better on the Senate, as well as just how he was the watchdog, always looking over the Solo kids. Not Solo kids, Leia and Luke. Different deleted scene that was. No, stop it, Yoda.
You're fucked up, yes.
They were so low that they were on their own.
Oh! Oh, shit. So I'm going to give a 3.5 out of 5 to Return of the Jedi, Phantom Menace, Attack of the Clones. Great riff tracks, by the way, if you haven't heard them. I'm also going to rank E.T. in there, because last I checked, they're part of the Senate. I'm going to also rank Ahsoka, which I do feel is a very fun adventure show, like you guys summed up. I didn't feel like Sabine really grew as much of a character in that outing, but I still dug the zombie stormtroopers, and Rosario was just really philosophical. It was like listening to a meditation tape at times, if that makes sense. It was very magical. The Rebels cartoon show, some of the new canon comics and books, Andor, or as I like to call it, the West Wing Star Wars edition, the Muppet and Sesame Street episodes, and most of the Lego cartoons and games. Mediocre. I'm going to give for the 2 out of 5. I know. Negative review you have. I'll be kind. I'm going to give this to... Okay, thank you, Yoda. I'm going to give that to the Ewoks and Droids cartoon, the new Battlefront games, Solo for having 2 miscast leads, and very distractingly dark lighting. Some of the Bad Batch cartoon, I dug the story, but I couldn't just get past the glitchy animation. It just didn't ring true to me. And I am going to give a 1 out of 5 to the holiday special, which is a Riff Tracks classic, by the way. But everyone should see it just to see Carrie Fisher sing. Also going to give that to the 2008 Clone Wars movie. That was not a good intro to that otherwise promising cartoon. It just ended very anticlimactically. As well as the Lego Star Wars Vacation special. That was a waste of Weird Al. But worse than awful. Hot take. I was not a New Jedi Order guy. I just felt like these books didn't ring true as Star Wars. I don't know if anyone's ever read them, but long story
Yeah,
short,
something to say on those.
the Yuzan
I'll wait.
Vong were a very derivative villains. They were kind of like the Borg on Star Trek, but without any kind of persona. Chewbacca dies, and it's ultimately all for nothing, and you're just like, what the hell?
Actually, that actually caused Ari Salvatore a lot of grief because fans didn't like that, so they wrote him death threats the same time he lost.
Well, that's overkill. You should never write death threats, even if you disagree.
He got a lot of that shit back then. I was so sad.
And I couldn't get into the Skywalker trilogy. I love how they were great experiences for you guys. Personally, just felt like I was watching a very forced toy commercial with unconvincing set designs. And you guys mentioned the free names of the leads. I always forget who they are each time. I'm like, what are their names again? Oh, that guy. This is going to be interesting, seeing which era rings true to everybody. Did I pass, by the way, Yoda? Dark side, since fuck off your show. Okay, well, I'm not welcome here anymore, but I'll let Hans carry this now.
So I'm probably not going to just do plain old ranking because we kind of touched on a lot of stuff. I mean, everyone's number one is usually about the same.
I'm just getting it out.
So yeah, so I'm gonna touch on a few lesser known things and then some things that I just think were important for me. On the lesser known, you touched on what was it? The New Jedi Order. See, I liked that. It was weird. It was different. Like I know that not everyone likes it, but after a certain point, it's like how many times can we just fight the Empire again or the Emperor? It's just
word.
Yeah. So I enjoyed that. But I know that's kind of a divisive series and everything.
I just didn't like the writing, but I get it. It did have new enemies.
They were not all winners, those books, but I like the overall idea of it, I guess. Some other things. I mean, I always loved the world building and the lore. Like that's what got me into Star Wars to begin with. And one of just the original movies with the lived-in feeling of everything. Everything was just so dirty and gross. It didn't even really need a lot of explanation. You just felt like you understood it just by the visuals. And something that added to that for me when I was younger was, I don't know if anyone ever played the card game, like the trading card game.
There was a trading card game?
Yeah, kind of like a Magic. Wow. I didn't like playing the game, but I loved that every single card, like every background character had like a paragraph written about them. And that's what I loved. I loved learning all this stuff about
if you guys were to if any of us were to join this saga, I guarantee you're going to get a Wikipedia entry.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like every little character that was like, they just take a screenshot of this grainy VHS, you barely even see it, but they'd have this whole colorful backstory for what this person or thing was. So I always enjoyed that. Some of the video games, I don't know if anyone played Empire at War. I still play that game.
Nice.
Oh, the RPG game where you build your armies and everything.
It's not RPG really. It's more
Empire at War. I thought that was...
It's kind of like I don't really know, maybe like an Age of Empires kind of, but not quite.
That's kind of what I was thinking, where you can select multiple characters and
you lasso your guys and build your army.
It's on Steam.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Time strategy.
Yeah, that's it.
Aaron's geeking out now.
You mentioned the Thrawn trilogy. That was great. Rebels was touched on. Rebels was a show that I would have killed for as a kid. Like I wasn't super. I've come a long way around on the prequels, but I didn't like them at first because I just wanted more of that world, and that's what Rebels was.
Fun fact: apparently, the midichlorians were actually dreamed up in '77.
That never bothered me. I know everyone hates that.
I thought they hated it just because of the kid.
Well, what I loved about Star Wars, I never really cared about the Jedi. I just like the ships and the overall story. Like the Jedi and lightsaber, I could have cared less about that at the time, anyways. Like my favorite original trilogy character was Wedge. He had nothing to do with anything. Showed up
the underdog,
yeah. But yeah, so I love that show. And then the Clone Wars TV show really turned me around on the prequels. Honestly, like the final 4 episodes of that last arc is some of the best Star Wars out there. I'd argue that till the death. I think it's fantastic.
Cool.
And we've touched on pretty much everything else. But yeah,
Master
those are my
Yoda,
thoughts and feelings.
Did Hans pass? Flying colors he has.
I may not have understood the assignment.
Top 5.
Understood he did. Aaron, I need you to use the Force and get Cliff back in the temple. You're muted.
Okay, technical. Here comes Cliff.
Da-da-da-da-dun, da-da-da-da-dun. From the Predator minute. Cliff is back.
And Gonzo minutes.
We were actually touching on Hans mentioned, ironically, a background Jedi character, Quentin Voss, who actually is inspired by Billy in the Predator movie.
Psychopath Billy.
Oh.
Yeah.
We had no idea.
Jedi character that used a bunch of drugs, I thought.
Elon Sleazebagano, who I went as for.
No, Kate Skywalker used drugs.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Are you sure it wasn't Aura Singh and all these other background characters? I'm like, it's all good.
My normal thing. But yeah, I was thinking Predator, right?
Yeah.
Involving aliens from other space and some wars.
Yeah.
And also weird 60s boomer politics, which we did.
Yeah.
So we're uniquely, I think, positioned to give the definitive ranking.
The definitive, right? I love it.
Whoa. All right.
Use us, will you?
So, yeah, Star Wars motion picture, number 1. Empire Strikes Back, number 2.
Yeah.
Last Jedi, number 3. Everyone agrees on this. There's no dispute.
Oh, my God.
Return of the Jedi. And now, a lot of people put Rogue One up here. Here's my only hot take from this entire list. The only thing that could be controversial. I think it's an excellent movie. I don't think it's a Star Wars movie. Here's what I mean by that.
Interesting.
Star Wars involves a little bit of sort of fantasy element, a little bit of goofiness. At its worst or its best, it always has those things. This is just a war movie using Star Wars language. It's like it's been translated into Star Wars. But there's
100% agree. 100% agree. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Definitely.
You agree. Okay. My man.
Yes.
It is a trash
definitely.
movie.
Whoever said that's my new.
Yes, there shall be.
I love Donnie Yen, so it's like he's in it, so I was like, okay, 5 out of 5 stars.
Martial arts in the Star Wars, love it.
It's a fun movie. It's really funny. It's
kind of
where
everyone dies.
But it's kind of outside of what Star Wars.
So then Force Awakens, Phantom Menace, Solo. Here it gets a little weird because I really think the movies is what Star Wars is, but like the Andor, as did a lot of people. You can make the same argument there. Mando, all the cartoons, I love them all. There's definitely a high
even droids.
Okay, good point. The Jedi Fallen Order video game, I haven't played the second one, so no spoilers. I'm sure it's fine, but good acting and it's canon.
One of these days I'm gonna get you all and we're all gonna play the old Battlefront somehow in some multiplayer.
Dark Forces, they're redoing.
Great.
Oh, that's awesome.
Delvin's going to be electrocuting us to death as the Emperor while Cliff flies around as Boba Fett throwing bombs at us. Perfect.
Yeah, Return of Sith and the Ewok movies. The Clone Wars.
What about Ahsoka? What is Ahsoka for?
Or Attack of the Clones, sorry. Then the Clone Wars movie. Sorry, Ahsoka's too new. I don't know where to put it.
I rented the shit out of the Ewok movies growing up.
It's got the best acting by Hayden Christensen.
Yeah.
In the whole.
That says a lot.
Yeah. And Ray Stevenson, who is Punisher.
Yeah.
Who, is...
Absolutely.
Then Hardware Wars. Then
I love it. We got to put Spaceballs in here.
I was thinking about it. But what I'm going to do is to wrap this up, we're going to drop down to just the bottom of the movies list. Just
where does E.T. rank for you?
Is now RoboCop 3. That's probably one of the worst movies I've ever made. And then so we're out of movies altogether now, but I still have another one on the ranking. Yesterday, I had a bit of, I guess you call it bad news. Certainly, I was out. I found out that someone I knew offhand, we were at the restaurant, and someone I knew from there had passed. And that was it was one of the worst feelings you have. Someone you knew had died. And then underneath that was Last Skywalker.
Yeah. I would say, okay.
Or the Return of Skywalker, whatever the hell that J.J. was called. That was worse than finding out your friends died.
Oh, okay.
A bunch of
it's not even, I would also agree that it's not a movie or a Star Wars movie.
What the hell?
So does that rank above or below the holiday special?
Oh, I put the holiday special
10 movies around that Boba Fett.
And where do you put E.T.?
Oh, I actually had E.T. Right above Hardware Wars, but then you get into some tenuous links, and since I hadn't played the second game, and I actually am one of the few people who never played the famous role-playing game.
Knights of the Old Republic.
Yeah.
Neither have I. I've only seen people play it.
And I know it's amazing, but I didn't feel right.
Yeah.
So the one thing I'm sure of is the bottom of the list. The Return of Skywalker, whatever thing that's called. I'll never see it again.
Nice.
I left the movie feeling more depressed.
Yeah.
And I've seen
Wow.
Schindler's List and RoboCop 3. Depressing in different directions.
Oh my god. Now I'm curious to see what a Schindler's List version of Star Wars looks like. Let's not go down there.
Oh, well,
all I know is that either way.
That, but that's what Rogue One kind of was.
That's the Liam Neeson connection
as a war movie. Yeah.
So Liam Neeson saved the Jews, but he also doomed all the Jedi.
Yeah,
that's good. That's funny.
It's just a weird connection here.
And had to get fucked to get a toast.
I concur.
He concurs. He conquers.
You should copyright that quick.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Master, did they pass?
Trademark it.
Flying colors they have.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
Cheers.
Romulan ale we shall drink. So, Jamie, you're on first.
Oh, okay. Now, do you want the whole 9 yards with little quick responses, or do you want like just my top 5?
Let's go with your top 5, just so Oreo can get his 2 cents in.
Okay, well,
and Mike and Gil have been waiting patiently, and they can.
Okay, well,
Gil is actually force choking me right now, saying, "Get on with it."
Okay, well, that's good because most of these Star Wars movies aren't really like. I mean, I like them, and they're just good. There's mostly with me either ones I love, most that are just sort of good, cool, love them, they're great, and then a few that I hate. Ranking the top 5 is pretty good. My number 1 favorite is these might be hot takes. Obi-Wan, the series, and I'll tell you why. It's because out of all the Star Wars media content, whatever you want to call it, I got the best Star Wars feeling. We all know that feeling. I can't put words into it.
A feeling.
We all know that feeling, and I got it the most from that series. It's just, it fulfilled a lot of the kid in me because I love it when these newer Star Wars movies and shows are showing us things that the old movies used to just talk about. I've always wanted to see a confrontation between a young Obi-Wan and a Darth Vader when they're both in their prime. I honestly, logically do not understand people who hate that confrontation.
Because it's dumb.
I don't.
Okay.
Well, what is dumb about it? It was. It was epic. Let's keep it nice. Let's keep it nice.
It's
but
okay.
seriously,
Let Oreo explain it on his turn. I told you it'd be nice.
Well,
Yoda is force choking him now as we speak.
It was shit that I liked to see. Getting his mask cut in half. I mean, that was all stuff that as a Star Wars fan was fun to see. Number 2, Empire Strikes Back. It is the best movie. It's the common choice, and that's because it should be the common choice. My number 3 favorite Star Wars thing is Mandalorian season 1. I've been with this fucking property since it was born. I was around when 75 came out. I don't mean to sound like an old man here, but I know Star Wars. These are the ones that, like, as of right now today, delight me the most.
Mm-hmm.
Could be because I've seen a lot of them so much that I just don't give a shit anymore. I don't know.
Yeah, I present 77 here.
I think that should be Star Wars' middle name. Stop giving a shit.
Stop giving a shit. Yeah, they're movies.
We're having fun.
Yeah. Anyway, after that was number 3. Number 4, here's another one that's gonna delight everybody. Force Awakens. And I'm gonna tell you why. When it came out and when I saw the trailers, when I heard the music, Rey's theme, I was so excited. And that was a great feeling because it was like, okay, they know what they did wrong with the prequels. So now, I mean, it's illogical for them not to make better Star Wars movies. And at least with that one, they kind of did. And I know it was just a retelling of episode 4, but still, it was a good retelling. And it had feeling and it had originality. It had some badass shit going on in it. I liked Kylo Ren. I don't know why people say he's like all emo and goofy. I liked him. No, he doesn't beat like some like Darth Nihilus and some of the other Sith Lords, but then again, he wasn't a Sith Lord. Anyway, I liked Force Awakens a lot. Like in the beginning when they shoot a blaster and he freezes the blaster bolt in the air. And I've never I was so impressed with that because I'm like, wow, I've never thought of that. So I like that a lot. And number 5 was Mandalorian 2. Basically, again, because as a Star Wars fan, there were things that I was always curious about that, were sort of answered. Like, what would happen? Like, if I actually wondered in the past, like, what would happen if there was a child Yoda? Like, what would happen to a Yoda? Like, what happens to a Yoda species when they grow up or whatever? And it was great seeing Luke come and take Grogu.
The bees in the trees.
Yeah. And all, yeah. And I thought that was just, as a Star Wars fan, as someone interested in the story, I was very satisfied by that. Now there's most of the rest I sort of can take or leave. They're good, they're great, whatever. Episodes 1 and 2, however, especially 2, I avoid. Episode 1 had Darth Maul, and it's a fucking crime. It is a federal offense that Darth Maul was not used in that movie more. I liked Qui-Gon. He was a great character. One of the reasons why I like Obi-Wan so much is because Qui-Gon popped up at the end. Now I don't know if they're going to use him again, but it was a nice cherry on top.
Mm-hmm.
But
Jamie, I couldn't agree more, and I want to urge any of the listeners, if they haven't seen it, Darth Maul lives with some robot legs. When he fights Obi-Wan in the animated show, I think that's one of the greatest Star Wars.
Incredible.
Scenes,
In Rebels.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Great choreography,
so
and it's animated.
It's a perfect fight.
Yes, I didn't even want to mention that because I don't think it matters. It's one of the few times where I'm like, I think I cried. I don't mind admitting it. It's amazing. So.
Yeah.
But anyway, go ahead. I agree with you on the Darth Maul thing, and then fight scene is often I'm like, this is a top 3 scene.
It's amazing. Like some of the best fight scenes are in the animated.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Funny how it works.
There's some moments that make me cry too. The "You were my brother" line. I mean, how can you not? I mean, I don't know. Anyway, but you see, that was a good moment sandwiched in between 2 terrible movies and Sith, which is a good movie, but it should have been the best Star Wars movie with Order 66 and Anakin's turn. I mean, that should have been an epic masterpiece. But anyway, those were my favorites, and episode 1 and 2 are my absolute unfavorites. I liked the romance theme in episode 2, Luke and Padme's theme. That's cool music. That's about the best thing I can say about it. I didn't like Jango Fett and his fucking rubber suit. That sounded ridiculous. In the rain fight, you can hear him like slipping on the metal with his rubber boots, and I was just like, I don't know, it was just cringy. It didn't work for me.
Interesting.
Yes. But yeah, and it's funny how when Phantom Menace first came out, just in the very beginning, all my friends, everybody we were kind of reluctant to say we didn't like it. We made the famous like that kind of noise. Like, yeah.
You made a Wookiee noise.
Yeah. We all made Wookiee. Yeah. Does Chewie like it? I don't know. He's not, making an angry Wookiee noise. But as time has reflected, it's not a terrible movie, but as far as a Star Wars movie goes, it's not.
I remember reading that Lucas said he had 30s dialogue, like, as his main template for writing dialogue, and like, well, that works if you're doing Gone with the Wind. That doesn't work for today's.
A British movie critic, Mark Kermode.
God.
Oh, God. You're familiar with him.
Yes.
Okay. Do you like him, or are you amused by him, or no?
I'll let you finish first.
Well, no, okay. Well, anyway, he said.
I'm gonna let you finish.
He said regarding episode 1, he said something like George Lucas must have had a really big problem with the government taxes at the time. and he was out to get government taxes. And it's an interesting observation because like the biggest, the return of the biggest children's fantasy epic everywhere, billions of dollars, action figures, cans. I have a Watto Diet Pepsi can. So yep.
There you go.
Marketing everywhere. What does he bring episode 1 with? What does he bring us with? First thing, taxes, trading dispute.
Kids
I don't know. It was sort of anti
politics.
It was sort of, well, yeah. They brought, I mean,
I guess I figured with Princess Leia, it was a lot of the same stuff, but he did like 40 excess scenes of it. Oh, well.
But yeah, Mark Kermode just sort of made the joke that it's when he was writing that it seemed like he had a beef with the tax IRS or something. It's funny.
Like I said, weird boomer politics inform most of
what's weird is I always thought it was a commentary on the invasion of Iraq, and he actually disclaimed that to fans. He's like, no, I was inspired by Vietnam. I'm like, well, that's the same oyster, really. The Clone Wars are Vietnam.
There was a theme in there on just how the Jedi were corrupted by being part of the political.
They're like the FBI going along with the agenda.
Pure sort of outside thing, and that there's no escaping that. That was their downfall.
And they can't arrest the Emperor because he keeps killing them all.
Military-industrial complex.
Yeah, and unfortunately, it got lost amongst everything. A number of people have said, especially Jamie, of strange things he wanted to shoehorn in there and merchandising opportunities.
Yep.
Yeah,
commercials do that.
Yeah, I think the big
money. That's my watch.
I think the big problem with the prequels is there's too much. There's too much going on, and it's too short a time. Like it's.
Yeah.
I don't know. I always had an issue with like how everything was like arranged as far as like the time scales. Like, how can Jedi be basically thought of as not real only 30 years ago? It would be like me saying, oh, Nirvana was never a thing. It's like, how is that possible? I mean,
it made me wonder if they were meant to be like a cult. Not everyone was privileged to see them.
Yeah, and it was
weird.
Yeah, it's just there's too much going on there. But like that's, it
doesn't help when anything I've seen Hayden Christensen or Diego Luna in, they have just failed to carry a movie. But hey, I like these Star Wars movies they're in.
Although if I ask my nephews about fax machines, they'd be like, no way. They're like, they were just here 20 years ago.
DVDs. What's that?
Yeah.
Pretty soon people will say Spotify was never a thing.
Oh, I hope not. I have a lot invested in Spotify.
Oh, I'm just kidding.
As far as like every song I've ever heard and liked, I have programmed into my Spotify.
Oh, wow.
To Jeff's earlier point, apparently Nirvana didn't even know they were huge until Weird Al made fun of them.
Oh, come on, really?
Yeah, for real. Like Kurt Cobain admitted that to Weird Al.
Is that when George Lucas found out too, when he heard that Bye-Bye Mr. Anakin guy? He's like, wow, I think Star Wars is really taking off. This Weird Al guy.
No, it was that disco version of the original theme.
Now, I'm pretty sure it was around the time he was trying to get a return on Willow or Howard the Duck.
I remember when Weird Al did Amish Paradise and Coolio wanted to beat him up.
Yes.
Yeah.
He agreed to be on some free.
His agent cleared it, but he didn't. And so it was just like, what the hell? Oh, good spoofs. I listened to eBay 24/7.
eBay?
That's a Weird Al song.
Oh, okay.
Takeoff of, or is it wholly
original? He's making fun of the Backstreet Boys in it, but the song is hysterical because he makes fun of all this Star Wars merchandise he's buying on eBay.
Oh, well, that's cool. I'll have to look that up.
Everything from a used tissue used by Dr. Dre to Bill Shatner's old toupee.
I do see that, speaking of Spotify and Weird Al, that they have that kind of Spotify rap thing.
Yes, they do.
And they have videos, and Weird Al's like, so apparently, I had like 1 million downloads or whatever on Spotify. So I think that made me about $0.25. So basically, crashed on Spotify the entire time because they didn't vet the videos.
The cake is a lie. Wow.
That can go one of two ways. I heard Spotify does that. They're kind of guilty of that, not paying the artists very much. But at the same time, the artists, they want people to hear their music. And that's probably the best way right now you can hear a new artist or even an old one is Spotify. So I don't know. If I was a musician, I don't know if I'd be that complainy about it.
I think you should just put it on Bandcamp and on everything and just see where which way the wind blows.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying, and this is, all of us are kind of in the creative space. I mean, we're talking about, and there's a point where you're like, okay, I'll work for exposure, but at some time that exposure needs to turn into money. So it's like, okay, they're hearing about you from Spotify, but then there's nowhere else to go. So that was your last chance.
Right.
So, yeah, more people have found me so they can listen to me on Spotify.
Absolutely. All right. So, Jamie, I think you should. Are you going to finish up your Imperial blockade, or are you?
No. Yeah. I mean, that's basically it. I've played. I'm not a real gamer, so I mean, I've played all the games pretty much. The Battlefronts.
Play with myself for sure. Okay, Yoda, keep it down there.
The Force Unleashed. I played that. I loved controlling a Star Destroyer with the Force. I loved doing that. Yeah. That was fun.
Star Killer.
Any chance I had to play the Empire, I did. Just because I'm one of those sick fucks, I guess.
I mean,
that was like shooting
flight simulator.
Yeah, so your ringtone just spells out Order 66 each time.
Oh, absolutely. One of the reasons I like Rogue One is because the new Imperial March that's in Rogue One, oh my God, it's almost as good as the one in Empire. It's the Imperial March in Rogue One is fantastic. And there's another thing. A lot of people make fun of the end. Oh, big deal. Darth Vader killed people. Big deal. Well, it is a big deal because he's a person that's being shown to you as one of the most threatening, deadly, intimidating things that ever lived. But I mean, we've never seen him really do anything, and it was cool to see him actually,
So, like Hawkeye in Avengers, he doesn't do anything.
Well, I don't know. That's
I'm just making that fun talking point. Anyway, it's a common meme I see. Anyway,
poor Cliff. Anyway, anyway, that's all I have to say, I guess. Yeah, I mean, the games are great. I don't read the books. I read Death Troopers because I like horror stuff, and that was pretty good.
Sweet.
It wasn't a Star Wars book. It was a horror book, but with Star Wars characters. But yeah.
Fun fact: David Ayer of Training Day fame was actually attached to do a Star Wars movie, which would have been a horror story set on Hoth.
I'll admit it, when one of our stimuluses was given out, the first place I ran was Gentle Giant. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to get some of these fucking statues. I don't care.
Collectibles.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So I got the mini bust of the zombie stormtrooper. I got a mini bust of Darth Nihilus and a mini bust of Darth Maul and a mini bust of General Grievous. General Grievous. Yeah.
Sweet.
They're gorgeous. They're amazing. Anyway, that's my story.
Yoda, did Jamie pass the test? Lovely summaries he has. Kylo Ren is still an emo, though. Fuck that guy. Lovely conversation you have. You are a Jedi Master.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, well. Sorry. Still banned you are. Okay. All right, so, Mike in the morning. I'm going to let you... If your back isn't out yet from seeing the X-Wing fight.
I came up with 5 things I like about Star Wars movies.
That's cool, work? Yeah.
Right, because he's got plenty of hot takes.
Yeah.
That's a better way to look at it, actually.
I've got 3 quick side notes. I work at a library part-time, and I realize the depth and popularity of Star Wars. I'm constantly shelving Star Wars graphic novels almost every day. And they're a pain to figure out the order of, by the titles. So that's one of the hard parts of my job. But anyway, I'm always shelving those. The other thing is Dana Gould's on record as saying he doesn't think Lucas had the original trilogy in mind. It was just Star Wars. He added Darth Vader's father, Darth Vader being Luke's father later. But we talked about this before, that there's a telling moment in the original Star Wars, A New Hope, where Alec Guinness, Obi-Wan is talking to Luke, and he asks about Darth Vader or his father, and you can tell he doesn't want to tell him that it is his father. If you watch the original, you got to watch that scene again when they're in the cave. So that's kind of cool. So I think Lucas had it in mind all the time, is what I'm trying to say. And the other side note is I love the riff tracks takes on on the movies and all, especially the.
They make fun of Wikipedia.
Yeah. So they're worth checking out. But
even if you like the movie, it's just fun background noise. They do this with Lord of the Rings too, where they're not even really riffing the movie; they're just talking during the movie, saying, "Oh yeah, all this Nickelback here." Oh, yeah.
But I'm a Riff Tracks fan, so that helps.
Oh yeah,
a fan of both. Number 5, Yoda going nuts at the end of Revenge of the Sith. It's probably the biggest crowd reaction I've ever seen in a Star Wars movie.
Oh really?
Yeah. Okay.
Who's he fighting again?
Darth Sidious, the Emperor.
Yeah.
Your disaster did. Okay,
Yeah,
quiet down.
The place just going bananas when that was going on. So that's number 5. See, these are moments. I'll get through them. You see what I'm doing. 4, A New Hope, Star Wars, because it's the start of everything. And it came out in 1977. I had 1 month to go in high school, and it was the movie of the summer. It was like Jaws a couple years before. But I remember a coworker saying she went to see it with a friend of hers, and she goes, a friend turned to her and says, "What's going on?" She says, "I don't know, but I don't care."
Was
she's
she
so intrigued
George
by
Lucas's ex-wife? Man,
what's going on? I don't know, but I don't care. They love it.
No.
3 is watching Anakin's turn into Darth in Revenge of the Sith. His gradual arc to evil. It's fascinating to watch. It really is. And and then of course it ends
Shakespearean.
It ends with the no, which Kevin Smith is made fun of. But
my god,
I thought it worked great. I liked it when I saw it.
I don't mind it.
The whole thing.
That's my scream if I were in a theater play rendition of Oedipus. Anyway, go ahead.
And then second is Empire Strikes Back. It's like Godfather Part 2. It's just Godfather was a big family movie, and all of a sudden it got so dark.
We were okay. Quiet down, Master. All right.
But probably my all-time favorite moment, might surprise you, is Return of the Jedi, when Luke is confronting Vader for the last half hour or so, and he's afraid of him, won't do anything. And as soon as Vader says, "You have a sister," and Luke goes ballistic. All of a sudden you realize, okay, he's doing this for the right reason. He's defending his sister. And it's very, to this day, that's the most moving thing for Star Wars for me. So,
yep. Years before they were ripping that off in other movies. Your dad is the villain.
Yeah. But I think that works great. There's problems with the Jedi, but that's the most dramatic thing in Star Wars to me. So
sweet.
I liked the Jedi training scenes in the new trilogy. Leia's like flashback Jedi training scenes. Those were neat. I like those.
Okay. I'll have to catch up to those. But...
Starting they were. Okay, quiet down, Master. So
much. Now I'll agree with Rise of Skywalker, but Last Jedi and Force Awakens, they were good. I mean, they were new, they were different, but you can't have more than one master of puppets. Do you know what I mean? I
don't recommend cloning the Emperor. Not a good idea.
Look, there you go. That's
all right, Gil. You are in the Jedi Temple.
Yoda, how Metallica songs. I was getting excited.
Oh,
you're right. I agree. That is the best one.
Lovely, Mike was.
Well, that's what I mean. You can't make a masterpiece twice.
Exactly.
Just look at Godfather 3. Oh,
see, there'll never be another one of those. There'll never be another Godfather.
Wow.
Literally.
There might as well be. All right.
Gil.
All right, Gil, you're on first.
All right. Well, I'm going to start by saying I only saw 6 of these movies, and how many have there been? Like 11 or 12?
9 officially.
9?
11.
Yeah.
11. Okay. Yes, and I've heard it said a few times already. Your love for Star Wars depends on what usually starting when you were a kid. And what you saw when you were a kid. And for me, I was. Go ahead.
I want to jump in here for 1 second. I'm sorry. I'm very sorry.
Sorry,
I have a theory about Star Wars fans that I want to get in when you're done, because
they're neo-Nazis. Oh wait, different fan base.
No.
I'm kidding. The ones who want to be stormtroopers probably are. But anyway, go ahead.
Well, no. When you're done, I want to interject and say something about Star Wars fans. That isn't insulting.
For now. Go ahead.
Right. But yeah, I was 10 when Star Wars, what is it, New Hope, the first one or the fourth one, depending on how you look at it, came out. I was 10. I saw that in the theater 3 times. That is my favorite movie. And then following by that, and I'm going to get them out of order here, probably. No, maybe not. The Empire Strikes Back was the second one in the group, and I enjoyed that. And Star Wars: Return of the Jedi, and I was a big enough fan at the time, between 77 and 85, that I collected what I could for Star Wars at the time, which usually tended to be just the comic books for Marvel. I did get a few action figures, but I never managed to get a whole lot. I liked the show. I liked the movies. When I saw Phantom Menace, how long had it been off the air by then? It had been 10, 15 years?
Yeah, just about.
Or more. I had high hopes that I was really going to like this movie. And it spent so much time, Jar Jar Binks and the pod racing.
That's such a bad creative decision, that Jar Jar Binks character.
Yeah.
And 20 years, by the way. It was
I noticed if you take out the Jabba's palace escape from Jedi and you take out the pod race, both movies go so much faster.
Well, yeah, I bet.
Yeah, that disappointed me so bad that I didn't even check out the 2 movies that followed it, because I was just so disappointed in it.
Fair enough.
But I'm gonna go back eventually and try to see them. In fact, I was going to try to.
Sith is worth checking out, I think, for sure.
Disney took over, and they took. And what was the first one? Was that The Force Awakens?
I don't know. All I know is the mouse. It's got some power here.
I think it was the
Force Awakens.
An eternal struggle it is, that Disney guy.
Are you suggesting those of us who like the Disney?
Sorry.
No, I'm just kidding. I'm just saying that Disney, they got some weapons.
I was going to say, are we under mind control?
Those are the 3 of the.
I don't know.
Modern era, or whatever you want to call them.
Yeah, The Force Awakens.
That was the first Disney one.
Right. Yeah, that's me in both those last instances, dipping my toe in to see if I'm going to like it. Now, The Force Awakens I did like better than the last group of trilogies, but I still didn't feel compelled to go to the theater to see Star Wars. I mean, I liked it enough, just not enough for me to feel the drive that I need to go to the theater to see it. The movies that followed. And and I did see Solo, and it was all right. It was okay. It was a serviceable story, but I that Han Solo character, the person that played him, he needed more of he needed more of an edge.
He's done a Skinamax type thriller for Netflix. He's been in Oppenheimer, and he was in this boring Apple TV show called Brave New World. So
I haven't seen any of those.
No. He's tied with Mannequin Skywalker and Diego Luna for sure as bland Star Wars lead.
But no, I really want to check out the ones I haven't seen yet. But I just, when I first got into it, I just got in and got out because it just didn't keep me drawn in. And I guess that's all I have to say about that.
Jamie, what was your theory on, or your blanket statement about all Star Wars fans?
Say it if you dare.
This is just a hot take. I don't think there is such a thing as a Star Wars fan. I think there are fans of the first movie. I think the main cults, the main heartbeat is in the first movie because, most people like the second one, Empire. Most people. Now, I thought pre-internet, a lot of people liked Episode 4, Jedi, but I guess not, because it's getting a lot of hate. Everyone hates the Ewoks. I didn't really care either way for them, but anyway, so that one gets hate. And then episode 1 comes out. That gets hate for good reason. A lot of people hate that. Episode 2 comes out. Everyone pretty much hates that. Me being one of them.
I was
Episode 3
disappointed in the theater, but I came around. But at the same time, again, emo Anakin, it's a lot to take in.
Oh, that haircut. Oh God, you look like an eraser. Anyway, I'm sorry, that's so shallow. Episode 3 came out. Great stuff. The last 45 minutes are impeccable. But
I told everyone in my high school I had a doctor's appointment when really my parents were sneaking me out of school.
Oh, that's awesome.
And yes, that theater went ballistic, but then everyone got all horrified in the last 20 minutes. They're like, wait, this is PG-13? Oh my God, someone's on fire. I'm like,
oh,
yeah.
You know what? You know what is so
Star
funny?
Wars.
If you go on YouTube, you know those reaction videos? If you go on YouTube and you watch reaction videos to Star Wars from like teenagers and like millennials and shit, to see them all cry, especially the girls. The girls just, oh my God, Anakin. It's funny. Anyway,
as if
episode
he
3
was their DiCaprio or something.
Yeah,
It's like,
yeah.
no, Rose, don't let him drown.
Episode 3 is majestically shit on. Force Awakens, although good, had some good responses. Not a lot of people like that one either. Absolutely, Last Jedi is fucking hated. It's loathed. I don't know why. I love it. It's something different, but still staying Star Wars. Oh, am I losing Yoda? Oh boy. And
Martin Tricky has. Love him, I still do.
Obviously, everybody hates Rise of Skywalker, and
Just like if Michael Bay had a baby with Chris Nolan.
That's my point. It's like,
like if Crib Death became a movie.
I mean,
oh shit!
Give it to Lifetime, they'll do it.
The only
wait, that's a good way of looking at it. Star Wars acting is like a Lifetime movie lesson. Oh my God! Who was your acting teacher? Judith Light.
Oh, shoot. Can I piggyback off of that? Because like I
love Judith Light, but hey, soap opera.
It like you can really judge like each of the trilogies by the love arc within it. Like the first one had this brilliant love arc. Like, you know, there was Luke and Leia, but then by the second one we see this we see Leia and Han Solo, and it is so genuine. I think they even had an affair at the time.
They did.
Yes, they did.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then
I'm convinced that Luke's acting teacher was Susan Lucci.
Well, then in the second trilogy or the prequels, the love
the acting teacher was Madonna,
and there was no chemistry there whatsoever. And then by the sequels, the third trilogy, like I don't even know what they were kind of pushing there. For a while, it was like for a while, you know, I thought, oh, maybe Poe and Finn.
Christian Bell was supposed to be Luke's Anakin, and that would have been a better pick because he would have trashed the cinematographer's lights.
Wait, who?
Christian Bell was supposed to be
Christian Bell.
Anakin.
Oh my God!
I would have loved that.
That would have been
Oh, well, that would have been even spicier. But yeah, all I'll say is that Natalie Portman will always be my queen. Anyway,
Natalie Portman would have probably acted against him like much better than.
I'm sure she's like, "Hey, kid, get it together."
You know, you're making jokes about the acting coach, but the problem is the acting coach is George Lucas.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying.
So inhuman because he doesn't know how people.
He actually says that in his autobiography. He's quoted as saying, "I don't know how to make actors act. They should know already." I'm like, what the fuck?
He famously goes after people with no film experience. Brilliant idea, George. Hit it out of the park. I don't know what I'm doing.
I mean, that is pretty smart in hindsight, because then it really helps them to come out of their shell more versus being stuck in a shell. Connecting that, I was watching stuff about how AEW's been doing with their talent and stuff, and one of the things
wrestling for those not following.
Oh, don't get me started.
Yeah, one of the things that was I know one of the things that was brought up was that a lot of the talent hasn't talked to any of the legends that are in the back working and stuff and helping. They haven't asked for any advice, and I'm like, you're on the air for 4 years now, and you haven't asked for any fucking advice? Like, dude, what the fuck? Sad.
Yeah, it can be.
The same thing happened with these actors. You know, there's a lot of pressure on them.
That's true.
I don't want to miss my chance, so I'm not going to say anything. I'll just.
We'll return after these messages.
The Jacked Up Review Show podcast is honored to be part of the Blind Knowledge Podcast Network. Join anytime, talk the talk, and enjoy yourselves. There's something enlightening for everyone with this crowd of cool cats. Check them out.
Hey, it's Brent Pope, the host of Breakfast with Brent Pope. You've seen me on some of your favorite TV shows saying things like, "Give it up, Jimmy. You got to sink this putt to win." On Breakfast with Brent Pope, I sit down with guests from the entertainment world, and we do it all over breakfast. Or should I say Brentfast? Every week on Brentfast, you get inside Hollywood info and tips, great breakfast recs and foodie debates. Most of all, you get the most delightful 30 minutes of your week. So dig in. It's Brentfast time. Listen at Brentfast.com, Apple Podcasts, or wherever fine podcasts are found.
Do you ever find yourself thinking about who would win in a fight between Goku and Superman? Hi, I'm James Gavsey, and on the Who Would Win show, me and my co-host Ray ignore anything important happening in the outside world and debate fictional battles between characters from comics, movies, and video games.
We got a new show every week, and almost always am I the winner.
Yeah, not true, Ray.
In the past, we've discussed such matches as Captain America versus Darth Vader, Solid Snake versus the Iron Giant, classic matchups like RoboCop versus Terminator, and even the Muppets versus Sesame Street.
That one was crazy. So if you're a fan of geek culture and love a spirited debate, check out the Who Would Win show wherever you get your podcasts, or check us out at whowouldwinshow.com.
Follow us on the web on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. The podcast is available on Podbean, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Anchor, Apple, and anywhere else podcasts are available. Feel free to review our show and leave comments on any of those sites. Thanks a million for listening.
It's a jacked up